Welcome, everybody. It's today I'm working through. Let me start again. Welcome, everybody. Today is the 11th episode of the Advanced Dungeons and Dynamic Advanced Dungeons and Dynamics 365 live stream. What we're doing in these live streams, for those of you that haven't looked at any of these other live streams, is we're setting up Dynamics 365 finance and operations in a stepwise process. So we're starting from a completely blank system and we're moving all the way up to configure as many of the modules as we can. And I'm going out and I'm using all the guides that I've been creating over the past 10 years or so for Dynamics, and doing it in a fun way. So what we're doing is we're setting up a lot of these configurations in the theme of Dungeons and Dragons. So one of my childhood joys that I used to play. And we're doing that partly because it disconnects everything from the real world and we can have a lot more flexibility. So there's a lot of things that we can do with this. So what we're what we're going to do today in the 11th episode is just looking at my documentation. What we're going to do is we're going to set up or continue the setup of the general ledger. So we're going to set up some of the organizational structures. In the next episode, if we get through all of this, then what we're going to do is we're going to use these organizational structures and extend out our financial dimensions. So in the previous exercises, we set up a company, we configured the ledger, we've been creating a couple of postings up until this point, and now we're moving on to some of the finer details within the ledger. So let's look at that, and let's start by looking at the surface that we've got here. So what you're seeing here is the environment that we're using. And what we've done is we're slowly building this up. It's taking time. It's going to take a lot more episodes to configure this. But what we've got is we've set up within our lab environment our Waterdeep trading company. So if you wanted to do this, you could follow along. You could actually set up the same company, or you could set up your own. It's entirely up to you. You can do whatever you want. But we've worked through this, and if we go out and look at the general ledger, then we've got a chart of accounts configured in the system, and we've also got the ledger set up in the system. But what we're going to do is we're going to set up some additional ledger structures. So if I go out and let me see, I want to go into the ledger structures. Then what we've got here within the ledger right now is really just a very simple P&L structure and a balance sheet structure. So we've only got our main account. We don't have business unit or dimension or division or cost center or department or anything like that set up in the system. So that's what we're going to work on today. We're going to spend a little bit of time. I'm trying to keep this down to like half an hour or so as we go through. So what we're going to do is we're going to move through move through the same training guides that you'd go through if you wanted to experience this and do this yourself. So what I've got is this is a new and upgraded training documentation. I've upgraded the graphics, I've upgraded the format, and tried to make this a little bit easier for people to follow. And what we're going to do is we're going to move through, and we're really going to start from the beginning and start setting up our organizational structures. So org structures are, as I said before, things like a department, a cost center, a business unit, or it could be even more things within the system. But it's a structure that we're going to set up that we're going to use within the system. So what we're going to do is we're going to start working through that. But before we do that, what we're going to do is there's going to be a little bit of housekeeping. So if we, let me go further down here. So if, for example, we wanted to set up some of the operating units, and I'll jump around a little bit just for a second, then when I create these are going to create a number, and it's going to be a long number. It's going to be like 9 characters long. So what we want to do is we want to make a quick change here, and we're going to modify our numbering sequence that we're using within this, and we're going to shorten it. We're going to make it just 3 characters because I think that's all we need. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into the number sequences. And I've gone through this, and I'm searching through the menu search. This is my favorite way of accessing things. But if we wanted to, we could go to the organization administration and number sequences, and that's both of these are going to get us to the same spot in the system. Now, when we did the very first setup, what we did is we generated all of the number sequences, and it created a lot for us. But what we want to do is we want to change one, and we want to change one of the this one number sequence here, which is for the organizational sequences. So every time a business unit or a department or whatever is created, then it's going to use this number sequence and create that for us. Now, I want to edit this, and I'm going to change this to, I'm just going to have, see if we can do this. Is that not allowing us? So this is that's very strange. So normally what we can do is we can modify this. So we'll keep on going and see if we can work through this. But what we should be able to do is we should be able to go out and change this value so that it is a 3-digit character. So just keep that in mind, but we'll look at that later on as we sort of move through. So now that we've done, and also let's enable manual entry this here. Let's see if we can just do that for now. Okay, so we actually managed to get that working. Things change in the system, so we're trying to work through this. But what I was able to do as soon as I turned this to manual is I was able to specify the value and change this and specify that this is going to be a three character business unit. So when we set up the business units, it's going to be like 100, 200, 300, and 400, and so forth in the system. And we're going to use some logic around that as we create it. So this is let's try and save this. So we've done that, and also, so we're having to do some data gymnastics here within the view. But what I did is I went out and I changed that to, let's enable manual again. So I was flicking on and off the manual as we went through, so that it allowed me to change the range here. But then also it allowed me to go out and specify the largest number that we have for the business unit is 999. So as you work through this, you may have to sort of tweak the system along the way. But that's just something you need to do. And we need to make sure that this value mask is 3 characters. It's got a length of 3, and the largest number is 3 as well. So let's save that and continue on. So now that we've manipulated that, we can return back to our screen. So now that we've done that, what we're going to do is we're going to move through and we're going to start setting up some of the business unit details. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by creating a new operating unit, And what we're going to do is we're going to create a business unit, and then we're going to call it Waterdeep. So we can, let's through there. Yeah. So let's start by going through. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to find the organizational unit. So let's move back here. So this is going to be, sorry, operating units. So now what we can do is we can start creating our business units and so forth. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by saying what do we want to create. So we're going to create, in the end, we're going to create some business units and some cost centers and also some departments. So we've got all three of these. But what we're going to do is we're going to start with the business unit. And that's as we build out this, we may have additional business units. So we could have the Waterdeep Trading Company. Maybe we could have Waterdeep Production. Maybe we could have different Waterdeep Services, or whatever we want. So this is going to be, what we're going to do is we're going to create this, and we're going to say that this is the Waterdeep Trading Company, and the business unit that we're going to set up, or the business unit number, is I'm going to set this up as Waterdeep Trading Company. So in the following items, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add numbers to these. But for this one, I'm going to have my business unit. I'm just going to have that named here. So let's save that. And now we've got a business unit. We'll see if that allows it. So that's fine. So now what we're going to do, if we look at our guide here, we're going to set up some cost centers. So cost centers are in our associated with our P&L, and they're things that we're going to charge costs against. So if we look at the cost centers that we've got set up here in the system, we're going to set up administration, logistics, marketing, procurement, quality, and human resources. But we can go out and create other ones within the system that are going to be more Faerûnian based. So arcane research and security and defense and all these things in the system. Also, what we're going to do is we're going to set these up, and these we're going to use number sequences. And for all of the cost centers, we're going to start with 100. So we're going to work. So we're going to have sort of like a numeric concept around the business unit, around the cost centers that we're setting up. So let's return back to the service and let's go out and create some of these. So this is going to be a little bit repetitious, but what we'll do is we'll set up as many of these as we can. So what we're going to do is we're going to choose a cost center, and this is going to be administration. And this is going to be cost center 101. So now that we've created that, I can go out and create a new cost center, and we'll make this logistics. And this is going to be 102. Going to create another cost center, marketing 103, and you get the idea of what I'm doing here. Procurement 104, cost center, quality 105. And then we'll create one last one here, which is human resources. And that's going to be 106. Quality, procurement. Okay, let's create 106. I think I might have missed one, but that's fine. So 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, and 106. Okay, so that works out. Now, also, say, for example, if I wanted to create another one, then I could create another cost center here. And let's make this security and defense. And even though most companies won't need this, when you're in the realm of Dungeons and Dragons, maybe you need a little bit of security around that. So let's save that away. So now we've got all of these cost centers created, and we can continue on. Now, the final step that we're going to do here, if we look through, is we're going to create departments. So the departments are going to be different from cost centers. They may be sub areas of a cost center, or they may be different items. But we're going to create a department for the finance, for human resources, IT, legal operations, and research and development. And also we could create some other ones. And we're following the same structure that we had, or the same concept that we had with the cost centers. And what we're going to do is we're going to start these with a 200. So they're going to be 201, 202, 203 to give us some sort of separation between the cost centers and the departments. So let's quickly swap over to that. And what we're going to do is we're going to say, I'm going to create a new department. And this is going to be finance. This is going to be 201. I'm going to create another one. This is going to be human resources. And even though we set up a cost center for human resources, we also still want to have a department that's in here. So we'll create a new department. It's going to be legal, 203. Create another one here for operations and manufacturing, and possibly logistics as well. And this will be 204. And then we're going to go out and create another two more for retail, 206. And then one final one here for the R&D. And that's going to be 207. Now, if I wanted to, I could create one final one here, and let's call this guild relations. So public relations, but just for the guild services, and that's going to be department 209. So we've actually got some spacing in there because we've got some other items that are set up within the system. So what we've gone out and we've done is that we've created all of these different organizational structures that we can go out and use in the system. So that's good. But what we want to do now is we want to move on. And I think I've got enough time to look at the organizational hierarchies. So we'll go out and have a look and review that. So now that we've got our business units and our cost centers and our departments, then what we want to do is we want to go out and say, how do these interrelate to each other? There may be cost centers below departments or vice versa, and we may also have business units that have different departments and cost centers as well inside of them. So we're going to work through the organizational hierarchies, and our goal here is to build a organizational hierarchy. Let's see here. So we're going to create an organizational hierarchy based on the departments. So as we work through, keep in mind that if you follow through all this documentation, then you'll get, then what we're going to do is we're going to have all of the cheat sheets, and this is what I'm using here. We're going to have the cheat sheets for how we access this. So we're going to access the organizational hierarchies. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look up the organizational hierarchies. Now I'm doing the search. I know what this is. I can find the organizational hierarchies. This is in org admin org. And if we want to go through the master menu, then we can go into organizational administration org and organizational hierarchies as well. So we've already got a department's org hierarchy created for us. But what we want to do is we want to modify that, and we want to create the structure that's in the system. So we're going to edit this, and then we're going to let's view the org structure. So this is going to take us to the organizational hierarchy editor, which we can go out and track. So what we're going to do is we're going to insert, for example, our different departments. And I'm going to say I want to insert a department, and I'm going to add the finance department. And then also what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another department, and I'm going to add the human resources. Move that. Let me just look. Actually, let me remove this. I'm going to do this a different way. And I'm going to add a business unit, and I'm going to add the Waterdeep Trading Company. So we're going a little bit off script. But now what I can do is I'm going to add my department. So I'm going to add the finance department to that. And then if you notice here, we can go and we can drill up or down, but I'm going to insert another department. And that's going to be human resources. So we're going to work through these structures. And I'll add legal. I'm going to add operations. Research and development, retail, and also let's add the last department that we've got here, which is the guild relations. Now, what we're not seeing all of every one of these items here in the hierarchy, but what we can do is we can scroll across and we can actually see all of the other departments that we've got here in the hierarchy. Now, what I also want to do is I want to link the cost centers that are associated with this. So I'm going to choose finance, and I'm going to add a cost center. So this is where it starts to get a little bit more interrelated. And I'm saying that administration is part of finance. And also what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a cost center, and I'm going to say procurement is part of finance as well. Then we can go back up and we can look at human resources. And I'm going to add a cost center. We're going to add human resources. Notice that we can't reuse a department once it's been assigned to a location. Now, I'm going to leave legal by itself, and I'm going to insert another cost center here, which is going to be logistics. And under operations, I'm also going to add another item here, and I'm going to add the quality. And then finally, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the retail location, and I'm going to add in another cost center, and I'm going to add in marketing underneath this. So we've now got this hierarchy of how the business unit links to the departments, that links down to the cost centers. So what we've got is we've really quickly gone through and we've set up an organizational hierarchy and an organizational structure. Now, the final thing that we've got here is that we want to go out and we want to publish this. So I'm just going to click publish, and I'm going to make this enabled as of today, and let's publish that. Now, as we're doing this, we can make our own adjustments to this. And this publishing item is really important because it allows us to publish into the future, so that if we're having an organizational restructuring, then we can go out and we can say this now is applies at the beginning of the year or at the halfway through the year as we're moving through, and then all historical information can still be related back to the original org hierarchy. So if we move a department or cost center between the organizations, then we've got that ability. So now that we've gone out and published it, we're done. So that sort of ends what we were looking at, and what we've as we work through this really quick module, what we've got is we've set up departments, cost centers, business units. We organized them, we structured them, we published them, and then we went out and we enabled them directly here within the system. So that's pretty cool, and it's a little bit of an administrative task that we're going out and performing here. Now, if anyone has any questions about what we're doing here, then don't hesitate to contact me. We'll say us, but it's really me. And we can talk about how you can go out and do this. You can build your own organization yourself by downloading the one box or the dev boxes from right now LCS, but you'll be able to get them somehow elsewhere through the Power Admin Platform Center, I guess, as well. And but if you don't want to go through that technical sort of process of going out and deploying a Hyper-V environment, then we've actually got lab environments that, as an apprentice through the Patreon program, then you can have access to these. It's all fully configured. It's at the same environment that I'm using to go out and build everything up in these live events. And so again, just call us and we'll help you work through that. And if anyone has any questions about the labs that we're setting up, then these are going to be available through adnd365.com/start, or also available to all of the benefactor levels on Patreon too. So we're just going to make those available if you want to support the project. So that was just a little bit of a blurb about the project, but in the next episode, so episode 12, what we're going to do is we're going to go out and use these, and then we're going to adjust the account structures. So we're going to add the department and the cost center and maybe the business unit to the account structures, so that then we can go out and do more advanced postings where we're posting not only just to petty cash, but to petty cash for a department, and have different codings associated with it. So watch out for that. With that said, we've got to around about the 30-minute mark, and I thought, don't want to go much longer than that because people can't really stand watching things like that for too long. And we'll talk to everyone and see you when I see you on the next episode, hopefully.